Hi guys, how are you today? I hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July. We went to Knoxville to see my brother, so came back. Basically, we did a little overnighter and watched the fireworks from Tennessee National Golf Course. So I hope you all had a safe and happy holiday. It is nice and warm here. How about y'all? Welcome Yvonne. Welcome Sherry. My nose is itching. Somebody must be coming to visit. Hi Sharon. Hi Shirley. Good to see y'all today. Um, hey Connie from Smyrna. Is that Smyrna, Tennessee? And Caroline. And it is hot here today as well. Hot and humid is the name of the game today. Hey Marcia, good to see you. It's been a while, I think, since I've seen your name on my list of people. So today I didn't get a lot of questions, but I did get one that is a reoccurring question that I seem to answer quite a bit. I'll go ahead and do it one more time today. So just letting you know, um, it is, how do I do the applique thing? How do I make it work with my ScanNCut? What can I do? So we're going to show you the easiest method, and then I'll show you the most precise method. So y'all can take your pick of which one you want to do first, and then we will go from there. Okay. I do have a couple of things that I'm going to do today, but we'll see what we'll start here first. So let me see here. Let me close that. And let's see here. So PE-DESIGN. And why are you on this screen instead of this screen? I have no idea. I guess I didn't move it in time. If you have an applique, let me see if I can make one real quick. That has been purchased from someone else. So I'm just going to make one real quick because I don't know if I have something in here that is, let's do this one. And we'll just save this out as a PES file. And I'm going to save it as a PES. Remember, I always, oh, there, I've got one already. So we've got to be in there already. Where did that go? Let's double check and make sure we know where our file is going. Cindy Facebook Lives. Okay. So let's come back over here and let's go to our import window. So right now I'm going to be using PE-DESIGN11. This is going to be the same in PE-DESIGN11 or PE-DESIGN10. Either one is going to work the exact same. And we're going to change it to import, and we're going to choose from folder. Okay. And now I need to go find Cindy Facebook Lives. So let me go find where I put that in there. Facebook Live Cindy's. There we go. And click OK. So I know that this B right here happens to be an applique, and you can see the different parts of the applique on the left-hand side. So the easiest method to do this is simply to come in here and hold the control key down and select the pieces that you want the machine, the ScanNCut machine, to know to cut. So those are my pieces. And if I go to my color tab and choose Brother Embroidery as my thread palette, down here at the bottom left, you'll see a heart with scissors. Touch that. That changes the colors of those to applique material. And what that will do is tell the ScanNCut that you want to cut those pieces out with the ScanNCut. Okay, so then you go in and you do a file save as, and you go and find a USB stick and insert it into your computer, and then take that to your ScanNCut machine. When you get to the ScanNCut machine, let me come back over here. When you get to the ScanNCut machine and you select retrieve file, or retrieve data, I guess it's called, and you choose from USB, find that PES file and touch on it. You'll see there's once you choose it, you'll see a flower and a badge. The flower is for embroidery data only, and it reads all of the embroidery data. The badge will read the parts that have been color coded to applique material. That's the ones that you want. So those are, it will select the pieces in the design that have been color coded to the color applique material, and it will cut those out. Okay. So Brenda, This is not a Mac it's not a Mac program. It's not it doesn't run on iOS. It runs on Windows. If you have a Macintosh that you have a Windows operating system on, you can run it in Parallels or Boot Camp. There's also another program out there that you could run it with, but you have to have a Windows operating system on your Mac in order to run the Brother programs. We used to have a program called Embroidery, I believe it is. And we no longer have that because it was such a lower version of of our BES program and the price point on it was so high that there wasn't a lot of sales on that one. So I'm trying to see. So I used PE-DESIGN11 for that one. Okay. And that's how you do it in PE-Design. That is the easiest way to do it. Now, the smoothest way, and the other thing I need to tell you is you need to look and see where that placement stitch is. So let's go look at our design. I'm going to cancel saving this because I don't need to. And let's look at this in stitch format. And let's zoom in and see where our applique pieces are. Okay. If the piece that you color coded is almost at the outside edge, not down the center, then you don't need to add an offset. If it's down the center, you need an offset. If you created the applique yourself in PE-Design, using the applique wizard, you do not need to add any offsets to your applique. You have to look at the design and see where that applique position piece is going. Where is it going to actually land? So this one is kind of to the outside, which means, and it looks like it's quite a chunky outline. It would not necessarily need any additional offset. If I were to add an offset on this one, let's say I wanted it to go to the edge, let's come and measure. Take your measuring tool, go from the edge to that first line there, and look at the bottom left corner down here. Let me go ahead and mark that. So let me left click right there. And if you look down here at the bottom left corner, it'll tell you how far away it is from that outside edge. It's 1 millimeter. So the most offset that you would really have to add if you wanted it all the way to the edge would be 1 millimeter. Okay. That's really how you can determine, do I need to add something or not? I would say you do not need to add an offset to this one because right here is the center. And let's see where the center is. The center is 1.5. So that is about a 0.5 millimeter over. And if we go from here to here, this is a nice chunky satin stitch. So you're good. I would say this one would not need an offset. But if it does need an offset, how do you do it? All right. So if I want to do it through the software and not on the ScanNCut itself, here's what I would do. Go to your stitches, select your design. So you see I've got the black handles around everything. It shows me that is in fixed stitch format. Go to your stitches tab. Anything that you purchase is going to usually have the black dashed lines around it. Divide it by color, and that breaks it into the separate color segments. So you can see that it's got a bunch of little black squares around it now. Then you can come in and hold the control key down and grab those 3 pieces. You may want to do them one at a time. It all depends. Let's go ahead and select the patterns. Go to your ScanNCut tab and choose Export. Take that down to the end. So you can see how it says create for the outermost edge only. We don't want to do that. We want it to go around each part, but that looks like it's going to give me 2. So let's close that and let's select one piece at a time. Select pattern, ScanNCut, and export. So now you can see if you wanted to add an offset, it automatically bumps it up 1 millimeter. You've got that. You can slide it down to where it does none or 1 millimeter. The most I've ever had to use is 2 millimeters. So 1 millimeter would be good. I would then send that to my canvas stitch. Yes, I'm using the placement stitch, not the tack down stitch, the one that goes to the outer edge. Okay. And then do that for each of the pieces. That allows you to get that exact offset that you want for each piece. Okay. But you have to retrieve one at the ScanNCut before you can go send the next one. Or you can send them all and add offsets to the individual parts when you get to the ScanNCut. And it's you use the offset key, not the increased size key. Increased size increases the size, and it may not do it proportionally all the way around. If you do an offset, it actually offsets it exactly around the entire design. Okay. And as I said, if you do use my connection on your luminaire, or if you're using PE-DESIGN11, it automatically pushes that placement stitch out. It's called applique material, and that applique material is out to the far edge. So I usually use the first stitch, the one that's closest to the outside. That's the one I always cut. The other one is usually inside, and I consider that my tacked in. So it may technically be your placement stitch, but I color coded applique material. Okay. Just letting you know that that's the one that I do. So if I'm in BES or simply applique, or BES or simply applique, let's pull that B back in over here. So let me go up to my button here, and let's go into merge. And we'll bring in that same B. Now here to create your pieces, you grab the ones that you want, and you go to the Tools tab. Actually, first you want to have the color applique material, Brother Embroidery palette selected. Go to the end of the color palette, and if you go 4 from the end, Brother applique material is color number 100. Touch that key. Then on your Tools tab, touch the ScanNCut button, and it will have created your artwork. If you want to do this, if you go this route, you do need to add an offset at the machine. If you have PowerPack 2, you can add your offset here instead. You could choose Create Offset on your Arrange tab, and you could say, oops, let me change to metric. Create Offset. And there's my 1 millimeter spacing, so it's 0.14 inches, I guess, was it? Let's look at that in English. I'm a metric kind of girl when it comes to my spacing. 0.04 inches spacing. You would remove the original piece and click OK, and you'll notice there we go. Do the same thing here. Offset, remove the original. Offset, remove the original. And then you don't have to do it at the ScanNCut machine. If you needed more than 1 millimeter, then you would do the same thing. Let's say you needed 2 millimeters. Let's undo back to the beginning here. Don't ask me what this is in inches, because until I do it, I won't know. So if I needed 2 millimeters spacing, click 2 millimeters, click OK, and you'll notice that one's bigger than the original one that we did. And you just remove the original, that way you don't have multiples. And there you go. So then that file can be exported. If you go to your Tools tab, you can export the FCM file. If you have PowerPack 1 or 2, you can send directly to a wirelessly enabled ScanNCut machine. So that right there would let you send it. Just click OK, and it's going to tell me I failed because the Brother website, I think, is down. Let's try it again. Yep. It's either that, or once again, my McAfee is messing with me. So let me do something here and see if it's my McAfee. Let's turn off my Firewall. Let's see here. Firewall, where are you? Let's see if that allows me to do this for a second. So let's go File, Export, or ScanNCut machine, send to ScanNCut machine. Let's try it again. What do you know? I think it's going to ping it. There it goes. So, all right. So let y'all know, if you have McAfee and you use that as your firewall, it evidently is not letting me communicate with external devices. So you just have to turn off the, what am I trying to say? Turn off the firewall for a minute and it'll go. So keep that in mind. So that, you know, sometime if it's not sending and it's, you know that you're connected, then check and make sure that it is not your firewall, because your firewall can block some stuff. And so I've been having firewall issues. I don't know what they updated on my McAfee, but for some reason it doesn't like any of my programs. So it's given me it's being a pain in the patootie. So let's look at a design that has the applique piece down the center. So that one that I saved a minute ago, let me merge that in here, and let's see here, because I didn't change anything about it, right? Even though this is a built-in design, I want you to see the difference. So let's look at this one. So do you see how that placement stitch is right smack dab down the center? That's one that you would want to change and make it have an offset. That's a for sure you need an offset item because it's smack down the center. So change the color once again to applique material, press the ScanNCut button, and both of your pieces are here. Just separate them apart because we did them both at the same time. The built-in ones will automatically know to do that, and you don't actually have to change their color. But since I saved this out as if it were an embroidery design, I didn't know if it would do that for me or not. So let's go to the Arrange tab, choose the Offset button, and choose how far you want it to go. Let's see what 2 millimeters does. So I'm going to add 2 millimeters, and let's change this color to red so we can, actually, let's change it to purple so we can see it. And I'm going to copy, and I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to paste it. And you can see that 2 millimeters is too much for this one. So if we come and zoom in, you see how my artwork is larger, not what we want. So let's come and let's undo that. Undo it twice to where 3 times. There we are. We're back to the beginning. And let's go back to the Arrange tab and let's choose Offset. And let's take it to 1 millimeter. Let's change that color again and copy it and come back over here. Let's delete this one and paste it. So you can see that's exactly where I probably would like for it to be. If if you wanted it to go to all the way to the outside edge, you could do 1.5. But you have to remember that this stitch is going to be larger than your placement stitch. So keep that in mind. Okay. So when you go to place it, it's going to be bigger than the stitch that you put down in there. And that's just because of the way that you've added to it. You've made an offset, and that actually increases it proportionally, makes it to where it's going to fit. But let's look at this and see what happens if I resized it instead. So let's come back to our artwork and undo a couple of times. So let's say I come over here and I increase my size by 1 millimeter. Let's do, I'm going to take off absolute, actually I'm going to take off maintain aspect ratio. So let me undo that for a second. Let's go to resize. So absolute value, and I don't want it to maintain aspect ratio because I want to go 92 and 72. And apply. So let's change this color to purple and copy it and come back over here, and we'll delete this one. Now we can paste it. You can see how it's not exactly resized the same amount. It didn't do the exact same thing. So not optimal. That's where the offset is better than the, that's why an offset is better than resizing, because it does everything proportionally. What else was I going to tell you about that? Now, like I said, if you don't have that capability in your software, if you don't have the offset key because you don't have PowerPack 2, then do it on the machine, because the machine has that capability. You can also do it if you export that FCM file to your computer. You could actually create the offset in CanvasWorkspace. So let's look at that. Let's go ahead and go to our tools tab and let's see what happens if I just say scan and cut. Yep, it did it. Okay, because that was a built-in to begin with. So let's export this FCM. And we'll say flower, applique. So I'm going to save it there and let's go to our Canvas workspace here. I'm going to go File and Import from my computer. And let me see here. These. And what did I call that? Flower, applique. Is it that one? Nope. Maybe I put it in a different folder. Let's see. Where did I put that? Y'all know me. I'm really good at forgetting which one I put it to. So let's export that FCM file. Brother Facebook Live projects. How about we put it in mine? Okay, so now we're in the right folder over here. Import from my computer, and it will be flower applique. There we go. So now we've got our two parts here. If you go to your edit menu and you go down to the bottom, you can choose offset. I'm in inches. Let me change over to metric. So I'm going to go to my artboard and change it to metric, from inches to metric, and then go back to the edit menu and come down here and choose offset. We want 1 millimeter, maybe 1.5 at the most. You want to delete the original line. Click OK. Ah, we must have something that's crisscrossing. Let's look and see. Yep. So did y'all see that message I got? That means you have something that you have an edit node somewhere along the way that's crisscrossing, and right there is where it is. So look for it, right mouse click, actually look for it, and then subtract that one out. And here's another one, subtract that one out. Now let's try it. Offset, 1 millimeter, okay. So we've now increased our size by 1 millimeter. Let's do the same thing here. Offset, 1 millimeter. Oh, evidently I've got a self-intersecting path again. So let's zoom back in on this one. And I can see it right there. So wherever it had a tie down, so if you tap it twice, basically, you'll get those edit nodes, and we can subtract those out. Now, select it, offset, okay. And you're ready to go. So then you can send those to your ScanNCuts. So that's how that worked. You would have that little notch in your cutout. So it's not a bad thing to send it through CanvasWorkspace, because that took my little tie off. We could go look and see what happened in our original file. Let's look here and change that to take off the solid, and let's see what we've got here. Yep, you can see that little node right there. So that's not a bad thing to kind of look at and see when you see it. Go to your Tools tab, Edit Shape, and then delete those points. Those are where it created a tie-off for the embroidery part, and you can see the same thing right there. We can right mouse click and delete the point, right mouse click and delete the point, and that would take care of it. Okay. So that's how you do both ways of sending to the ScanNCut if you are on your machine. If it's a Brother machine with a color screen, you have a little thread spool on your edit menu. The thread spool with a color tile. When you touch the thread spool with the color tile, you can actually color code your parts of your design to applique material. You could then take that and use the badge as well. If you don't, you can take it to a ScanNCut, one of the more current ones, so the DX models for sure, and you can actually bring up embroidery stitch data and find the color segment that you need. The downside of that is that it's going to show you every stitch out there. So it may be a little bit more jagged when it goes to cut, but you can, it's still possible as long as, let's say you have two blue segments and one of them's applique and the other one's not, then you don't want to do that, because you're going to, or you can do it, but then you're going to have to make sure you delete the portion that you don't need. Okay. So I'm thinking you're correct. They said the 7th, and well, so the 6th is tomorrow for sure. Maybe on Thursday is what we're hearing. But hopefully it will make our website better and we can navigate things around. So let's see here. I'm trying to see. You're most welcome, Victoria. I'm glad you're enjoying it and finding these helpful. Okay, so I have a fun little project for us now, and we can do it both in BES4 if you have PowerPack 1, and we can do it in PE-Design if you have PE-Design 11. Okay, you can actually do this if you have PE-Design 10 as well, but a lower version doesn't have the ScanNCut feature in it. So this is kind of just a little fun activity that we can do today. And let's go new page here. And I'm switching to PE-Design to work with it first. New page. Actually, we're going to CanvasWorkspace to work with it first. So we're going to go new page here, and we are going to open up our project library here. So Canvas Project Pattern Collections. And this is just something kind of fun that you could do for your table if you want to, that takes a cutting file and we're going to turn it into embroidery. So we're going to take this lemon wreath stencil and click on it. Oh, fiddle-dee-dee, did it turn off? Let me turn my, play nice with me. There we go. Okay, so here's the lemon wreath stencil, and you can tell that it has been united, but that's not going to make a difference to us, because when we get into our software program, except for in BES4, it will still see those as united. In PE-Design, it's going to break it up into the different segments. So let's go and let's do File, Export, Transfer, FCM, and we are going to export this to our computer, and we're just going to call it Lemons and save it. Okay. So now I'm going to go to PE-Design 11 first, and let's go into our hoop settings, and we're going to choose the quilt frame. This is a 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 quilt frame. Pick one that you have. So if you have the 9 1/4 by 9 1/4, that's the 240 by 240. Pick a hoop that you have. I'm going to go with the biggest one that I have, because I'm going to make this for the center of a table. Okay. I want to go to my ScanNCut tab and choose import. And here are my lemons. Let's import those in and close it. Now I'm going to shrink this down by holding my shift key down. And the only reason I'm holding my shift key down is not to recalculate stitches. It is to fit it within the hoop and keep it, and basically resize it to stay in the same space in the hoop. So that way I don't have to recenter it. It's automatically keeps it in the center. So there we go. I've got my design ready, and I'm going to go up to my Shapes tab. And we're going to change this from not sewn to a net fill stitch. And you could do motif stitches if you would rather. I'm going with a net fill stitch today. And you can see I've got some dark spots. That means those are going to sew over the top of each other. I don't want that. So let's go over here to our sewing order window. I'm going to select the first flower. Actually, we're going to select it all first. Control A. We're going to do modify overlaps, and we're going to set hole sewing. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a hole to where you don't have duplicate stitching, but I'm kind of wanting to create kind of a trapunto effect here. So we're going to have the stitching tacked down the background, and we're going to take the centers of our lemons and turn those to where they don't stitch. So let's click off of everything, and let's go up here and select all of these parts that are the center parts. So I selected the first one, and I'm going to hold my control key down, or excuse me, my shift key down, and select everything in between. And you can see that there are red dashed lines all the way around those. Now let's select the little select patterns key here or up here. Either one will work. Go to your shapes tab and change it from net fill to not sewn. And looky there, we now have an embroidery design that is going to have tacked down all of that background stitching, but it's going to leave these as spaces, and that will kind of create a trapunto effect. So it's more of a textured 3D effect. And if you basically stitch it with fabric, batting, and fabric underneath it, the negative spaces will pop up. Okay. And so that's a really easy way to go. So Cindy, I have no idea what's going on with your chat. Couldn't tell you. It could just be your internet today is behaving weirdly. So that's an easy way to do that. So let's look at some different fills that we could choose. If instead of a net fill, the other thing I would do is come back in here and change the color of all of these to the same color as that green, but I would have them sew last. And let's change them to the same color as the green. So go to our color tab and change it. Down here is the easy way. Just touch that button and you've now changed it to green. These are all running stitches. If you want them to really pop, put a triple stitch on them. I would do the same thing to my outline stitch, change it to green to where it's the same color. And what that does is give you a nice little edge from which you can cut to be able to square it up before you bind it. Okay. And then watch it stitch. It's going to take off and go to town. I'm actually going to do it a little faster so y'all can see it stitch. It passes its way around and does its own little unique thing. And that is always a good way to show you exactly what your design is going to do. And it's finding its way around to do it in the least possible jumps that it can. There you go. So if you want to try a different stitch, one of my suggestions, let's go to the select tool and let's come and grab the fill stitch, which is this one. You can come in here and you could choose cross stitches instead. Now, cross stitches are kind of weird because they may cross in there. That would not be my first choice because you don't have half stitches and quarter stitches or anything like that. You could put a motif stitch on it. There are 80 something motif stitches. If this is going to let me have my motifs, let's go over here to sewing attributes and let's choose a pattern. So usually the flower is the default setting, but you could pick any motif that you want. Let's see what this little honeycomb looks like. You could choose the honeycomb. I'm not fond of that one. I don't think I like that one too much. Let's see what else we've got. I have a wing needle stitch that I have that I created that I can do. Let's see what this motif 51 looks like. But you can have fun and play and get different looks. Ooh, I kind of like that one. That looks like it would be quite fun to stitch. And have fun with that one. So that's how you would do this one in PE-Design 11 or 10. Now let's look in BES. So if you have BES blue or BES, actually BES blue is not going to let you do this. BES4 will let us do this if you have the first PowerPack, which I consider the most powerful PowerPack if you don't want artwork. So we're going to go up to the application menu and choose import, and we're going to choose import artwork. And let's see here. Here's my lemons. Let's open those up. And you'll notice here's what we've got. So if we go to our tools tab and we choose convert to decorative fill, I'm going to leave a still stitch as the outline, but you could choose a running stitch if you would rather. So let's choose, we'll go with a running stitch today. Now, you'll notice how it automatically left the holes for me. That's because of the way that file was created in CanvasWorkspace. So BES4 actually, with that second PowerPack, leaves your holes for you and you don't have to set a hole, which is kind of cool. But if you go over to the drop-down menu in your properties, you can actually choose different decorative fills. You have artsy, You choose one and then you click apply. That one probably wouldn't make it pop quite as much. One of the ones that probably will is your diamonds. But then again, diamonds are not close enough together, so I wouldn't go with that one. So let's see here what else we've got. See what ladybugs look like. That one would be pretty cool. Okay. You could try a pattern. See, let's see what that guy does. That one would work pretty well. Let's see what else we've got. Starlight. And these you don't want to make any smaller. So what they show up as is what you want to leave them as. You can make them bigger, but you don't want to make them smaller. That one looks kind of cool. That's your Tic Tac. Let's see what Topsy looks like. Ooh, that one would be cool. That one would work very nicely because it looks like it would tack things down pretty well. Let's see what else we've got. Vintage. That one's kind of nice. We'll see what windmill looks like. That one's pretty cool. And then you have your zigzag, which is kind of it is actually a zigzag. So those are the ones that you have in here, and that's what you've got. So you can choose which one you like the best. And if you come down here, you can actually change it from a single run to a double run, or the style, you can change it to a triple stitch, which is a bean. Yeah, and you can choose how many repeats you want that bean to have, 3 or 5, and click apply. And it'll automatically turn that into a bean stitch for you. I would have it run as a single color. So I would change the color to the first color, and then you don't have a color stop. Do it tonally if you want. Think about it. A piece of white fabric, you could just actually do a tone on tone color with it, and that center will pop. Okay. So that's a fun little exercise you can play if you have PowerPack. What did I say? 1. PowerPack 1 has the most features that are in it. So that's one of the things that I'll say. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover today is how to rearrange designs. Let's say you've purchased a design that's an in the hoop design, and I don't know if I have any of those on my computer or not. I may have to fake it. But I'll show you what you would do. How can you insert, how can you change the order of sewing to make sure to be able to stitch it in the order that you want to. So this is going to be a PE-DESIGN11 activity. So let's come over to PE-DESIGN11 here, and let's do File, New. Okay, so let me see what I've got over here. Do I have anything that might be considered an in the hoop project? Nope. I'm looking to see if I can think of something that I might have. Let's see here. Nothing in there. Okay, guys, evidently I don't have anything on my computer that would actually work for this activity. So we're going to actually make something real quick. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to make a square or a rectangle, and we're going to turn off the fill. And we'll make a smaller rectangle. Let's make these the same size. And we'll make a stitch to stitch a zipper down. And let's see here. Each of these needs to be its own color. I'm not teaching you how to do this today. I'm just showing you. I'm trying to fake something. So give me a second. We're trying to make a few color segments here. And now let me make a rectangle to put it all together. Okay. So I'm going to export this out as a different format so it'll lock it into stitch format. Actually, let's just save it as a lower version. All right, so we're going to save this as a lower version. Oh, I can't in this hoop, so let me export it. I can't type today. So I'm going to save that in my Facebook Live files. And now let's go to let's touch new. And I'm going to go into my import menu, and we're going to come here to my Facebook Live files. And we should see my fake project here. Here's my fake pouch. And you'll notice I fixed it in stitch format right there. You see the little black dash line all the way around it. Okay. So let's say I wanted to put this B right here on the pouch. Let's say I want to add that one. I'm going to arrange, copy it. Let's do vertical mirror. And we're going to put beautiful on it. Actually, let's be a little fun here. Beautiful. There we go. So let's say I want to actually have the beautiful stitch before this puts it all together, right? Because this is going to be your fabric put for the bottom, for the top, and then these are your zipper spots, and then this is your covering. Although zippers would probably be in front of that. Like I said, I'm not teaching you how to create in the hoop project. We're just teaching how to adjust what you have to be able to add to it. So this is my pouch, and if I touch it, you see the black dashed lines. Go to your stitches tab and divide by color. Once you divide by color, you can take anything that you want from the bottom of it. So grab all those parts. I held my shift key down and move it in front to where you want it to stitch. So I can take it and move it in front of that stitch, the covering stitch, and there you go. It is now in the order of sewing that I want it to be. But I have to break those color segments apart in order to be able to do that. Okay, so divide by color is how you actually change those up in the sewing order. Now, if you're in BES4 and you wanted to do the same thing, let's come and go File, New. And let's go merge, because we either want to merge or import. You don't want to actually open anything. Oh, yeah, DST will work. So what did I call that? Fake something. F-A-K-E. There we go. Fake pouch, open. So this one actually breaks your color segments up for you, and you can rearrange things into the order that you want them to sew without having to convert it to stitches or divide by color or do any of that. So if we go in and we merge our design file, so let's come in here and let's say we want to grab those same bees. Where are they? Oh, I'll use my ladybugs here. Once again, if I go to my tools tab here, I have my arrange, and I can choose arrange on rows or arrange on corner. We'll say arrange on rows. And let's see here, we want 2 across and 1 down, and I want to flip every other one horizontally. There you go. Apply it and click OK. Now, if I want those to go in front of the finishing stitch, I basically take this, hold my shift key down, and drag them in front of it. So there you go. And that's how it works for you. So those were the questions I had, and those were the ideas I had today to show you some different techniques. Hopefully you all learned a little bit something about software that you didn't know today. Are there any questions that I haven't answered? I'm looking to see. I do not see any questions, so I'm going to give you all a couple of minutes to see if there's any questions. While I'm waiting, I will let you all in on. Okay, so let's see here. Coupon codes. I'll make them active after this. This is your 4th of July special, so they'll be active after we're live today. I'll have to go online and turn them on. And here's your other one. This is for your BES book, and this is for your version 10, which is what I sell for version 11 as well, because I'm working on the supplement. Eventually, someday I'll get it done. Who knows? Just so you know, Heather and I will be doing a live on the Education Connection on Friday at 1 p.m. So if you are not a member of that group, I'm looking for it. It is a Facebook group called The Education Connection, and you have to type in "the" to be able to find it. You must agree to the terms and answer the questions. That's all you got to do, guys, and then you'll automatically be added. If you do not do that, then you won't be added. So you're going to get a rejection letter, okay? So it's going to say you either didn't agree to the terms or didn't answer the questions. That helps us know what we need to plan for. That's where we're going to get some ideas on what lives you want to see. And we came up with the reason we're doing it Friday at 1 Central is because Heather was already doing a live today and I was doing a live today. That was actually, I think she's got 2 lives this week. So that gave us a break in there for her. So that's going to be one that was fun. So, all right, guys, I'm glad you feel like it was a good one today. Yes, go back and rewatch it. Share it to your page so you can find it easily. Be sure and like my Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you haven't already, I would appreciate it because that does help me. It helps anybody that does lives out there, just so you know. And let me turn off banners here. Where did that go? So I'm glad you enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you. You are most welcome. And I did come up with a lot today, even though there weren't many questions. Those were the questions that came in, I answered. But y'all have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next Tuesday. Yes, I'm live again next Tuesday. That's not it. Yeah. I will be out of town the week after that, but I will be alive next Tuesday. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy. Go create something fun for me. And be sure and share it. Bye.